Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine
What's
a light
your
on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, where we highlight different leaders and changemakers in the disability community and the amazing work that they do. I'm Sapir. I'm your host for today's episode. I head up accessiBe's nonprofit partnership program, and I'm really excited to have our guest here today. So welcome, Jacqueline.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with you, Sapir.
Thank you. We're so excited. So, Jacqueline, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am the new CEO of the National Center for Learning Disabilities. I became the CEO in January of 2023 after a long career in the special education community as a teacher and a faculty member, and then a nonprofit administrator previously.
Amazing. And can you tell us more about the National Center for Learning Disabilities?
Yeah. So the National Center for Learning Disabilities has actually had a beautiful pathway, 45 years of advocating on behalf of students, young adults, and adults who have learning disabilities. We've actually been founded by two parents of children who had learning disabilities. And over the course of our long history, our board, as well as our staff, has been those who have learning and attention issues. And we're looking forward to the next evolution of NCLD moving forward.
I didn't know that NCLD was founded by two parents. It's so interesting to hear how so much change can happen from just one or two people. So really amazing that your organization has been around for so long.
Yeah,
What
so
motivated? Mhm.
it's funny to mention actually because it was the NFL commissioner and his wife who founded NCLD. And then we had a wonderful advocate in Ann Ford as the board chair for close to 2 decades. And to your point, the special ed community in general has always been grounded in parent advocacy. That's how our legislation has been passed. That's how public school systems became inclusive. So it doesn't surprise me at all that a foundation like ours would be built upon parent advocacy as well.
I love that messaging. So thank you. What motivated you to join the organization?
To be honest with you, this is a unicorn role. I've told everybody how excited I am to not only lead this team, but be a part of the team. So NCLD, as I mentioned before, has been around for quite some time. I actually was a consumer of NCLD research and advocacy, even when I was a teacher, and then when I was a doc student. And now as a faculty professor on the university campus, I used to tell my own students about NCLD's work. So when the position became known to me, I thought to myself, this is literally the space that I was prepared for. And this team is eager, they're earnest, and they're highly productive, and they have the best interests of the organization always at the forefront. So, I mean, it was a no-brainer when the position became available that I would seek to be part of this team.
Your enthusiasm about the role is infectious. So I'm excited that we get to have you today as a guest. During your time as the new CEO, can you share a memorable experience that you've had or also something from your career that's been impactful?
So right now I'm 8 months into the role. I've had several memorable milestones already. I will say one of the best parts about being in this team is the recognition that the young adults that we serve are at the forefront of all the things that we do. So this past June, our team went to DC to advocate on the Hill with almost 60 young adults who have learning disabilities or attention issues. And they spoke to representatives and senators across both sides of Congress about the priorities within their own public school systems, as well as what it looks like at university systems and into workforce and transition supports. And the team did a fabulous job coordinating, but the true hallmark of that activity was watching young adults advocate for themselves and do so even better than we could. So that was really exciting to hear about their experiences.
Amazing. And as a teacher, professor, a leader, what do you think of when you hear the word accessibility?
That we actually break down the barriers that were put in place by other humans, able-bodied barriers that remove access and opportunity for people who have disabilities. I mean, these were put in place not because they're natural, because they were artificial. And so let's make sure that we remove everything that requires somebody to do extra or go above and beyond, and ensure that they have access right from the get-go.
Mhm. Especially with the expecting someone to go above and beyond. What's one thing that you wish people knew about people with disabilities?
That people with disabilities come to the table prepared to do the work of every other human on the planet, and that it's able-bodied barriers that create inhibitions or inabilities to produce, and that it's our job on the planet, I mean, literally as a society, to ensure that every person can have a sustained and thriving life outcome. And so for me, this is not just about ensuring that education is accessible, but that somebody can feel like they thrive in the educational environment. And it's not simply that we provide employment opportunities, but that somebody can ensure that that employment is of their own choosing, that they feel valued, and that they contribute to that on a daily basis. I know that without them, that space is not the same.
Definitely. So, that being said, what can businesses and brands do more of to be a more inclusive society?
I think first we have to demystify what disability really means in the workforce and transition space. I think many people, because again, able bodied barriers keep people with disabilities from specific environments, they assume that there is a lot of dismantling that has to happen, which requires time and money. And in truth, had we not put these barriers in place, we wouldn't have to dismantle them. But it is now our job, it's our moral imperative to ensure that those barriers are removed. And so, what we need to be thinking about is how do we recruit with the person with the disability in mind? How do we center that person in all of the facets of the employment day to day activity? And then, how do we seek input from people with disabilities about how to make the environment even more accessible and not see it as criticism, but as a way of growth and an opportunity to ensure that for the future, there is a greater populace that actually engages in the employment sector?
I love that answer. That was so great. On the individual level, do you have a message of what we can do to be a more inclusive society?
Yeah, I think that employers, let's just take that same hypothetical and move it across the finish line, need to start asking these questions about their own internal processes. And they need to stop being afraid and start being open minded about what they need to be doing in order to make sure people are given accessibility. But it's not just being accessible, it's also about sustaining oneself. And then I think for the person who comes to the table knowing to have a self disclosed disability, that they have an ally, an NCLD, and other organizations that they can lean on when they need supports, research, or they need advocacy on their behalf, whether at the federal or the state or the local level, and that we're in this in community.
And then my final question for you is, as someone who's new to this organization, what are some initiatives that you're excited about bringing to the table or sorry, you cut
Leading.
off a little bit, so I'm going to
So
make sure
our
that our design
team
team edits
is
that part out.
undergoing right now
Okay,
a strategic
perfect.
planning
And
process,
then my
and
final
we're thrilled
question for
about the
you
process simply
is,
because it allows
as
us to
someone
lay a
who's new to
blueprint for
this
the next several
organization,
years.
what are
We
some
already have
initiatives that
priorities that
you're
we've been
excited
engaging with,
about bringing
but
to
this
the
is going to help
table
us
or
lay the groundwork
leading?
for moving those priorities so forward. Our team is two of the things undergoing right now a strategic planning process, and we're thrilled about the process simply because it allows us to that we are going to produce the next several years. We already have priorities that we've been engaging with, but this is going to help us lay the groundwork. And we're thrilled about it because it doesn't just land two of the things I want to bring up of students in K-12 environments, but also young adults and educators. It happens that we are going to be producing and the second initiative is we have a young adult leadership council that has in its sixth cohort about it because it doesn't just land young adults landscape view of students on behalf of themselves and also young adults. We're actually having our orientation who are supporting our students. They'll come back to DC. And the second initiative is we have a young adult leadership council. It's one of the most important parts of our job. Cohort, at least 25 to 30 lift up our young adults in the community. And so we will continue to do themselves and the community. We're actually having our orientation in September.
I'm so
and they'll come
excited
back
for
to
the work that
DC
you and your
next spring,
community and your
summer
team
to
are
advocate
doing. So
again.
this is really
It's
exciting.
one of the most
Thank you so
important
much for being a
parts of
guest
our
on the
job
Spotlight
is
Sessions.
in an
Thanks
effort
for inviting
to
us.
lift
It
up
was a
our young
thrill.
adults in the community.
Nice to meet you
And
too.
so we will continue to do that into perpetuity.
Amazing. And to all of our guests who have been listening, I'm thank so you so much excited for for the tuning work into that this you and your
Uh,
community community and and your team are feel doing. free to like So and this is subscribe to really our YouTube exciting. channel and Thank you continue so the much for being a conversation guest with on the us Spotlight at Sessions.
Thanks
accessiBe_community
for
on
inviting us. It was a
Instagram.
thrill.
We look forward to seeing
Nice
you
to meet
there.
you too.
Amazing. And to all of our guests who have been listening, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Feel free to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and continue the conversation with us.